We have ourselves an NBA Finals. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Indiana Pacers. The series price, -700 on the Thunder, 5-1 if you want to take the Pacers in this one. Kelly, I think the pricing is correct. Yes, you are getting an offense in Oklahoma City that can match and run and do the different things that the Pacers can. I think Pacers under the radar had one of the better offenses that people didn't pay attention to throughout the course of the season. Unless you were a hardcore NBA fan, you just don't think about the Pacers in that fashion. But it's a whole different animal than what you got with the Knicks now, because you were getting a team that not only is elite on the offensive side of the ball, but is also elite on the defensive side of the ball, which is not what you got in this series with the Knicks. You attacked Brunson, you attacked Cat. It worked over and over and over again. You start getting the reports coming out that the teammates were actually kind of grumbling about Karl Anthony Towns and his defense, or lack thereof, throughout the course of not only the playoffs, but the season as well. Apparently in practice, it was kind of like he didn't really care all that much about, doing the switches right and all the things that really matter.
Shocking.
And of course it gets exposed in the playoffs, and you watch this team go in and just attack these two guys, Brunson from a size standpoint, Karl Anthony Towns from maybe an effort standpoint on the defensive side, and the Pacers move on. That said, find themselves as massive underdogs here to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's kind of hard for me to poke a hole in that number.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, I think this is all credit to the Pacers. They have been incredible to watch in this playoffs, and I think they do have a little bit of that just winner kind of amazing mojo heading into the finals. Like, they are kind of that team of destiny this year. I get it. Having said all that, if we're just looking at series price, and I made a couple bets, we'll work our way through these here the next couple segments, but I mean, that -650, I know it's -700 if you're watching at home right now, is what you're seeing on your screen over at DraftKings. There are a lot of places where this is sub -700. I know we don't have a lot of people with the bankroll to run out and bet that. Man, it's cheap, though. It's cheap. SGA then compared for finals MVP is cheap. You're seeing about this series priced like the Pacers of the Denver Nuggets. I had Denver, that was basically the same odds that we were getting on that series. I had Denver rated a little bit tougher than this Pacers team. The biggest problem with this game, or this matchup, is just the matchups on the court. Everything that the Pacers have succeeded at doing throughout this playoff run, the Thunder can match them or even do better. If you want to go back to pace statistics throughout the regular season, the Pacers were up there top 3. Guess what? So were the Thunder. They went even faster than the Indiana Pacers. So they're going to be okay playing them that way.
I think Indiana's going to keep game one close, so I'll probably be on the Pacers in game one. This is where I really feel the coaching matchup kind of benefits Indiana. It's just a lot of time off for Carlisle, who has been very good historically against the spread when having, 4 or 5 days of rest. So I think that we're going to see the Pacers come with maybe their best game plan of the entire series in game one. Maybe that's not enough. I mean, the Thunder are so much better than the Pacers. Like I wrote it in my story, I really don't see any world in which Indiana actually wins this series. But I do think there's going to be some, closer games than people expect. And that's why I ultimately landed on the over 5.5 games. I just think that there's going to be some room for a really hot shooting game from the Pacers at some point, a really bad shooting game from the Pacers at some point, and then maybe early in the series, as I've mentioned, a game where Carlisle just kind of outclasses Dagnall.
Nick Whalen, Brandon Kravitz here with you on Prop Points, taking a look at some player futures markets for the NBA Finals. Assist leader, Brandon. This is one where we do have a hefty favorite. Tyrese Haliburton -900 to lead the finals in assists. SGA 5-1, Nembhard 20-1, Jalen Williams 50-1. Everybody else at least 100-1. Haliburton, of course, leads the entire NBA in assists in the postseason with 156. That's 30 more than any other player. That's 45 more than SGA. And again, these teams have both played exactly 16 games. Andrew Nembhard did out-assist Haliburton in the Cavs series, Brandon. I was surprised to discover that, but he's blowing everybody else out of the water in the other 2 rounds. Had 42 more assists than Andrew Nembhard in that Knicks series alone. But like we just talked about, the Thunder are going to get after the Pacers and Haliburton defensively. Would you look anywhere other than Tyrese Haliburton in this market?
Definitely not. This is very much SGA with the points. You can bet this. He's lapping the field, but you're just not going to get much back for it. The next closest is SGA with 111. He's at 156, as you mentioned, but both of these teams use everyone. And Haliburton is so much more responsible for generating Pacers looks than SGA is. I tried to see if I could parlay SGA as the points leader and Tyrese Haliburton as the assist leader, just to see what kind of number I would get. But unfortunately, you cannot parlay those options. So saved you some time out there.
So we have a series assists leader market that I think is a little mispriced. Tyrese Haliburton in some spots is minus 900 to lead the series in assists. And I understand he should be the odds-on favorite. We understand how good he is. He's a great facilitator. But, guys, I don't know if the assist opportunities are going to be there for him. I think the Thunder are going to be more than willing and more than comfortable to stay at home with their guys while throwing whoever, right? Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, even Shai at times, on Tyrese Haliburton and feel comfortable that they're going to win that matchup more often than not or live with what the result is going to be. And so I think those assist opportunities are going to be severely cut into. Again, I think he deserves to be favorite. I just don't think he deserves to be favored to this degree. So, look, there's only really two options to play in some of these spots, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 5-1 to lead the series in assists, as well as a little bit on Jalen Williams at 66-1 to lead the series in assists. Shai, it's obvious, right? He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be able to kick it out. The assist opportunity is going to be there. He is the team's leading assister. But for Jalen Williams, guys, if you're talking about pure assist rate, how often does he assist on made field goals when he's on the floor? He is the best player on this Thunder team. Over a quarter, nearly a quarter of the assists when he was on the floor were courtesy of Jalen Williams. He's a pretty good passer. So given the fact that I think this series market is a little overpriced and I think that there's some value, I put a little bit on Shai to lead the series in assists as well as Jalen Williams at 66-1.
You know, they have all these like exotic markets out there. You start like looking around, and I know people are going to bet them, but it's just a little bit different. I think whenever you look at this series in general, we saw some big comeback wins, Kelly, obviously, throughout the course of the playoffs so far. So they're allowing you to bet these comeback win markets, which are, does any team come back from a 20-point deficit, a 25-point deficit, or a 30-point deficit?
Okay.
At 420 plus 425, 10-1, and then 22-1. Like, here's the thing. Oklahoma City plays too good of a defense to ever get down 30. Unless they just wave the white flag.
Right, yeah.
Like, unless they just pull everyone, but then at that point, they're not coming back from being down 30. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I'd hate to say it. I actually think there's a better chance of the Pacers pulling off one of those comebacks just because we've at least kind of seen it out of them already this playoffs. And we've seen some of their shooters just get nuclear white hot. So, but no, at those prices, no interest whatsoever.
The other interesting thing, market that I guess, I should have known that these markets exist, but it's just you start thumbing around and you're like, oh, okay, that market makes sense. Have you seen these correct score after game X markets?
Yeah.
Those are actually pretty cool.
I got close on a couple.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Okay, so for example, they played 3 games, right? You can guess the exact score of the series after game 3. So you could say that the Thunder are going to be up 2-1. You actually get plus 120 on that. You could say that the Thunder are going to be up 3-0. You get plus 155 on that. Do you think the Pacers could actually be up 2-1 after game 3 plus 425? And holy mackerel, if the Pacers are up 3-0 after 3 games, Kelly, 28-1.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Save your money.
I did look at those because I think I'm slightly interested in the Thunder 2-1. There's other shops, and I can't remember who's got what posted, but there's also, like, there was after 4 games, Thunder 3-1. That was kind of interesting to me. After 3 games, Thunder 2-1. That's where I'd go, if anything. I think if the Pacers take a game, it's probably in that game 3, maybe game 4 when they come back home.
We're in a pretty good spot. Not that the Pacers can't win this, of course. The way they're betting the series, there's I won't say no one, but very few are laying that price because it's just a big number. Right. And so most are continuing to bet the Pacers at plus $5. The game, we have pretty good action at the 9 on the side. But they're betting the Pacers on the money line in game 1. These are you watch the Pacers play. You think they're coming off a lot of momentum with that win over the Knicks. You think they can compete with this team maybe for a couple of games, and why not catch them for game 1? But I can tell you the 7-5 price, that's the highest we've ever had any team in the NBA for the finals. And I'm talking DraftKings, and we've only been open since 2018. That's the highest price, and we've never had an MVP as high this high at $6 for SGA. So what can I tell you? It's just one of those series where you can't really bet that who you really want to bet. You're going to have to be creative in this series and find ways to bet it.
We're going to take a look at some series-long player props for the NBA Finals. And Brandon, I love evaluating these. Sometimes there's value, sometimes there's not, but they're very fun markets to look at. Both teams have played exactly 16 games coming into the finals, so you can compare those aggregate numbers and try to find some takeaways. We'll go through all the primary stat categories. We'll start with points here, where we have an overwhelming favorite in SGA to lead the finals in total points. SGA minus 3,500 to be the leader. Jalen Williams 25-1, Siakam 28-1, Haliburton 60-1, and then a big jump down to some role players. McConnell 200-1. That would be shocking. Lou Dort 200-1. Chet Holmgren, Andrew Nembhard also in that category. So this is a tough one for me to find value, Brandon. I mean, SGA has scored 476 points in the postseason, 149 more than any other player on this OKC roster. Now, on the Indy side, Siakam leads the Pacers with 337 points. That's 36 more than Haliburton, 84 more than Miles Turner. So it's tough to look anywhere other than SGA on the OKC side of things. Is there any name when you parse through the odds here who sticks out to you as any sort of value? Because I'm not betting SGA at minus 3,500. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Just take OKC to win the series and be done with it if you're willing to lay juice like that. My exact note that I wrote down for this was I don't see any value here. So I'm with you in lockstep. Okay. It's SGA in a landslide. The only one that I would even consider outside of him would be Pascal Siakam. He's the next closest in terms of total points this postseason. 337 to SGA's 476 over the course of the playoffs. 28-1. I guess there are worse ways to get in on the action in this series, but I think we're in agreement. This feels like a wasted bet.
If you're bullish on Oklahoma City and if you're willing to lay 9, probably willing to lay 11, right? You're probably willing to lay 11 and a half. You're probably willing, so it's, if you think that this is going to be a clinic from Oklahoma City at home here, sure, put half your bet, 70% of your bet there on the 9, but I'm probably playing some alts as well, because when you're talking about winning by double digits, you're predicting a butt kicking.
Yeah. I mean, OKC at home, I'm never going to blame anybody in this series for making bets like that. Honestly, it's something that I've probably gotten a little bit lazy with as an NBA bettor of just, I think you should probably be doing that in most NBA games.
Leaning into your convictions a little bit more.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. How often is your number, or is the spread going to be off your number by exactly 1 point, right? It's worth laddering up a little bit. Regardless, I'm with you on that. I do think there's a better chance if we see an OKC blowout that it comes in game 2 than game 1. Look, we are still dealing with two younger teams. I think this also lends to the under a little bit in game 1, too. How effective does everybody come out is a little bit of a, like the old boxing expression, right? Getting a feel for your opponent sort of thing in game 1. I could see that a little bit more, Matt. Maybe it's a second half where the Thunder run away with it in game 1. I think I could see that more in game 2. I really like the bet. Like if I didn't have nothing in pocket right now, I have my NBA Finals tickets on the Thunder, I would be doing that game 1 in the series. I think under minus 300, I think that's a great bet to attack the series.